Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for being here today as we embark on our 20th weekly community update today. And today we're really going to, we will talk a little bit more about some of the activities that are going on post-arrival. We still have a significant number of people that are still in hotels. I know that we're seeing a lot of movement in terms of moving people out of hotels into housing. I would say that we're seeing like a breakthrough in that area. I'm looking forward to next week where we're at the verge of really moving a huge number of large families out of the hotels. So that would be a huge relief, not just for us, but for these families and these children who have been sitting and running in hotel hallways. And I think even the hotels themselves are beginning to get stressed with this and having all of these meetings with us on guidelines and all of that. But it is just the nature of the beast. We're also getting a lot of frustration, and I just thought that I should bring this up in just processing of benefits. This is taking much longer than usual in terms of people accessing those benefits just because there are a lot of variables, backlog, labor shortage, everything, all the number of claims that are being filed. So we're seeing a lot more delays in people accessing. And some of these conversations may be going on with all of you, but it's really a challenge that we're facing that I'm not sure even federal or state partners anticipated, but these are all things that are coming up as we're in this resettlement effort. But we have been really blessed to have this group, this audience that has been working together. Yesterday, we had a meeting with some of the partner organizations that are working on this effort. We're planning, that will be highlighted, we're planning this huge giveaway of some of the gift items that the donated items that we have in the gym to try to get this into the hands of these families that have moved into their new homes, and even some of the families in the hotels that we know we're going to be moving out. We are looking forward to having a weekend soccer opportunity that families can leave the hotel and be able to go out and play in a place which has more space than the lobby and corridors of hotels. So this is just some things that we're dealing with and juggling with, but we're going to talk a little bit more in this week in a weekly update. We'll talk a little bit about what we're seeing in terms of healthcare management, and then we had a few questions last week about the Afghan community program. And so I'll just share a little bit about how comprehensive the program is and also figure out ways in which people can support that program. And then we'll talk about some community shout outs for people that continue to provide us support every day. And if there are any questions, we'll be happy to take those. So at this time, I'm happy to pass this over to, just before I do that, today happens to be our senior vice president at the International Institute's 40th birthday. So I want to wish Blake a happy birthday and hope that you all join me in wishing him a happy birthday. And I wish he had a day off today, but we have a resettlement effort going on. So Blake, happy birthday, and please proceed with the weekly update.
Well, thank you for blowing up my spot so comprehensively. Thank you all. Thank you for all the happy birthdays. Never before has it really felt like a badge of survival, right? A birthday. So thank you all so much. jumping right into it. For our arrival update, we have 27 arrivals scheduled this week, including the ones that did arrive. I believe these numbers are actually through arrivals on the 7th. We have 595 folks resettled since October. So we are certainly going over that 600 mark, which we've talked about. Usually these things had been hard capped in the past, and now they're asking everybody to take as many folks as possible. This doesn't mean that we're not going to get any more. We do know, though, that the arrivals for next week will be significantly less. You can remember back, we were even a couple of weeks ago, we were seeing more than 40 arrivals a week fairly steadily, and now we've dipped now below 30. We expect that number to be somewhere around that 20-25 mark for next week as well. So we are seeing kind of the tail end of this. We don't know what to expect at the last week of this month or even into to March, but we know that the program is tapering right now, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into some of the profiles on a month-by-month basis in a moment here. But quickly, housing, as already mentioned, we still have quite a few folks in hotels, but that number functionally is decreasing. We have about 22% of our arrivals currently in hotels. It's 133 individuals with more than 450 folks now in housing. And as Ray mentioned, we seem to have had a little bit of a breakthrough, and we have quite a bit of housing that's become available to us. And between this week and next, we expect to have upwards of possibly 8 families that could be getting moved out, predominantly larger families, which is great. We do know we are in need of more volunteer support to help with that. There's a lot of human effort it takes to get the goods collected and distributed into the apartments. And just this week, we had to delay a move-in because we did not have enough volunteers signed up. So just a real quick plug that we need more volunteers signed up for our housing. And sign up for as many days as you can that you're available. If we're not able to do a sign up, we reach out and let people know, or we're not able to do a setup, we reach out and let people know. But the more advanced notice that we have of people being available on a certain day, the more we can reliably schedule those setups for those days. Right now, for the folks in the hotels, the average stay is 23 days. This is down a little bit from where we've seen that in the past. But for the folks that are in hotels, the average family size, for families greater than 7, we're seeing that average stay at 42 days, which is significantly larger than the average for families less than 7, which is 18. We have families, some that are in there that have moved in, that are 82 days into their stay. That is the new record. So we are really happy that we'll be able to move some of these folks out. And frankly, we do have one of our largest cases is now set for out migration. I mean, they'll be moving out of the state for reunification with their family. It has been very challenging for the large cases, and we all know this, and we appreciate everyone's effort in helping us procure more of these apartments. Again, I said it last week, I said the week before, I said it, I guess now for 20 consecutive weeks. But we are very much appreciative of the effort of this group broadcasting the need for our housing for our families, because we've been able to foster these connections and actually create a little bit of an enclave in a part of the region that is going to have, it seems, 6 open, or initially 4 open apartments with 2 more on the same block. So we're very excited to have a little bit of movement here, and movement which will allow people to stay in community and have more of their countrymen close to them. So that's great. As I mentioned, we have a couple cases that moved out this week. Hope to have 4 more cases later this week, but again, that depends on our volunteers and availability. The setups, as being mentioned in the chat right now, they take more people because some of these larger families, obviously there's a lot more stuff that's going out. Whereas before, I think people have volunteered in groups of 2 or 3. The larger families really need a bit more than that in order to be able to get folks in. So we're looking for to max out our signups, which I think we have 9 available sign-up spots for 2 different shifts every day of every week. So if you can help us, and maybe we can put the link in the chat, that would be very much appreciated. We do have those 4 cases upcoming, as I mentioned, next week, that could potentially be moved as well. Cases of 8 and 9. These are our largest cases that we have that have been at the hotel for a while. So very much looking forward to getting those folks settled into their new home. And if you can sign up to help, please reach out. Additionally, if you have more follow-ups for housing leads, please reach out to Galib and Abdul, who would be happy to follow up. So I did have something a little bit different on our next slide. We did an examination of arrivals and case size by month. And so what we see here is that we only had 40 arrivals for October, but the average case size of that set was 8. So you see case size reflect on the left and arrivals on the right. The case sizes and arrivals really kind of intersect there in November, where we had 254 arrivals. The average case size is 4.5, which is actually right around what we were told the case size average would be. So that's sort of the most typical month, and it makes more sense given the sample size is so much larger. But I do want to draw your attention to the next 2 months, December and January. December, 106 arrivals and average case size of 2.9. And in January, 159 arrivals with a case size of 2.7. So we have seen rather significantly smaller cases on average arriving recently. That is also why we've seen a shorter hotel stay. It's why we're seeing a few different things within the demographics here. We do know that there's a lot of single cases that have arrived recently, which are potentially family reunification cases. These are folks who got separated from their families in the evac process, and fundamentally will be asking for reunification once they're able to do that. So these smaller cases and these individuals, of course, have different needs than the larger families. There's much more financial support available for those large cases, to be sure. The smaller cases, we're not seeing as much health need for those individual cases that are coming. So fewer health cases that are arriving under those smaller caseloads. So we are seeing the demographic shift on us quite a bit here the last 2 months. Fewer of these large families and more of these individuals. So with that, I want to turn it over to Rosie Lang. Last week, we heard a bit more about the initial health services that are available for not just Afghan arrivals, but also refugee arrivals who we support through the resettlement program. But what as we mentioned, there's more medical case management that happens for those intensive cases. And I wanted to make sure that we had a true expert with us today. So today joining us, we have Rosie Lang, our Director of Social Work, to tell us a little bit more about the services available for health and navigation resources through our social work department. Rosie?
Thank you so much, Blake. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be with you. As Blake mentioned, I'm really going to be honing in on healthcare navigation as one of the services that we offer within our social work programming. If we go to the next slide, I'll just do a brief overview of our structure. Many of you on this call are aware of the diverse services that we offer, but really today we're going to be talking about healthcare navigation, both as it pertains to behavioral health, right, and physical health as well. And that occurs predominantly, but not solely, through our behavioral health programming, specifically behavioral health case management, as well as our social work, social services, and preferred communities programs that are really geared towards that very intensive case management with high connectivity with the clients who we serve. Going on to the next slide, we have a little bit of eligibility information for our programming. This is ever shifting and evolving as we've seen, particularly federal funders, as well as other community-based opportunities allow us to expand who we serve. But we typically in the social work team serve those who are most at risk of our at-risk populations. And so what does that mean? One, there's a primary vulnerability that they're experiencing. And on the left side of your screen, you can see a listing of that. I won't go through all of them. but really individuals having a diverse set of needs. And one of which you can see down below is disability or medical conditions, as well as social cycles, of which we lump under the and as we're working with individuals on healthcare navigation, it's really important to note that we are not just looking at healthcare in and of itself, right? We know that there are all sorts of issues that impact health when we talk about social determinants of health. So we can be working with them on their healthcare issues, as well as housing, as well as food access, et cetera. Going on to the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about what do we mean when we say social services to support health equity? What does that look like? For us, we really strive to place the individual whom we are serving at the center of every intervention, every interaction that we have with them. And so what that looks like in the healthcare context is medical care coordination, focused on stabilization, and eventually supporting independent navigation of healthcare systems, right? And so how do we do that? We essentially walk with individuals once they're referred to our team and undergo a thorough assessment. We walk with them through each step in the process in order to ensure that their medical needs are taken care of. And so what that can look like is, scheduling that initial primary care physician or PCP appointment. Can also be coordinating alongside our healthcare colleagues, specialty care appointments. It can involve working through some of the health insurance issues that Blake and Ray mentioned are something that unfortunately our clients really do experience, especially now, these barriers to accessing care. We can also assist with Social Security disability claims if they meet one of the qualifying conditions per Social Security Administration's Blue Book listing. Sometimes for our clients, that means they need to access medical care first before they are really able to have a good shot at getting that disability claim approved. And why is that? That's because often Social Security Administration is looking for those medical records. And we know that at times, especially for our newest population, they're really coming with not a lot of biodata, not a lot of health information on record to really clearly demonstrate that need. But we are walking with them through that process. Another thing that we do with our healthcare coordination is accompaniment. And we know that transportation is often one of the biggest barriers, not the only, but one of the biggest barriers that our clients face to access to healthcare. Why we don't call it transportation on this slide necessarily is because we offer something that is more their clients scheduling transportation through their insurance company if they had it, giving bus tickets, things like that. But our advocates and our social workers go with clients to the appointment. So it's not just that they're giving a ride, they're attending appointments with clients and teaching as they go. This is how we sign into the doctor's office. We're an extra advocate in the appointment itself and can serve as a point of continuity across many different appointments, right? And so it's not just the aspect of getting from place A to place B, it really is how is the client interacting with the healthcare systems as they go through. And all of this is really important to stabilization and making sure that there aren't very negative healthcare outcomes for individuals who are coming with significant diagnoses like intellectual disabilities or cancer diagnoses or heart disorders. But it's also about what happens once stabilization occurs to ensure that they're able to continue to maintain that wellness over time. And so that's why one of the key components of our program is health literacy. It is that coaching, that teaching, that making sure that the connections are still there, even when we're no longer in the picture. It's teaching individuals how to navigate the systems, how to manage their medications with the support and guidance of their healthcare providers, how to go to the pharmacy, ask pharmacist questions, pick up their medication, and continue to get the benefits that they need. Additionally, importantly, we also engage in transportation training, bus training, and how to schedule through their medical insurance, health insurance. Going to the next slide. How to get connected to healthcare navigation through the social work team. Well, a lot of individuals are identified pre-arrival. This has historically been true for our refugee arrivals who we do receive biodata or medical overseas data even before they land, or they're identified at intake as having a significant health need or barrier. Sometimes that need doesn't come up until a month or two later and they're identified post-arrival. And then at times they're also referred through external parties, through the community, in which case we ask that they get referred through our intake process first if they don't identify that they already have a worker or connection with the agency. After that point, they go through assessment, whether that be assessment with social worker or initial program eligibility assessment for the agency at large, after which time they receive their program recommendation in connection to the team member. And I will say, looking at this chart, it seems like, wow, this is a very structured process. It is by design. We want to make sure that we are getting folks the best help possible and being really intentional about our. Having said that, we do have the capacity to move very quickly in crisis situations with the caveat that we are not emergency medical providers. And so what we do is really engage in coaching and training for our clients to help them be able to access those emergency medical services as they need it. And then finally, because I know there are other items on the agenda, just giving you a few points of contact to connect if you have individuals who are in need of our health navigation services. One is our intake and assessment specialist. We're actually hiring for a third position to round out the team. Hopefully we'll be able to fill that soon. But right now we have Abbas Faisley and Tim Roth. We do have languages spoken by our intake specialists directly, Pashto, Dari, and Swahili, but we also have language access through telephonic interpretation and other interpretation services that we can gladly access. We also have our social work services staff who will be the points of contact for social work referrals, including Christopher Berry, who goes by Barry, and then myself, Rosie Lang, and I've included our contact information there. What I will say, just to finish my time, is that we really strongly encourage clients to be encouraged themselves to reach out to us directly, call, leave a message with our intake staff or with Barry or myself, because we want them to be at the center of everything that is happening to them. And we want them to feel engaged and connected as much as possible directly, rather than having to go through all of these different parties to get what they need. And so if there are any issues whatsoever with connectivity with our healthcare services, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. And so with that, I am going to thank you and turn it back over to Blake and Array.
Thank you very much, Rosie. We felt that it was really important to share this process because this is the work that takes place behind the scenes as our new arrivals get settled into the area. We provide the support. So Rosie, thank you very much for that very detailed and elaborate presentation. I don't know if there are any questions for Rosie. We can take that now, or we can come back to those later. I just want to quickly go over what this community, Afghan Community Support Program is, which we announced during the press conference, and there have been several questions as to how much progress is being made with reference to that. And I want to say that the first thing that we have done so far with the program is really we've put in place maybe a program manager who is going to oversee this program. But the idea of the Afghan Community Support Program is really to provide comprehensive assistance added to everything that we are going to be providing to them. We know now, based on previous experience, especially with the Bosnians, that it's easier for people to come to St. Louis and stay in St. Louis if there is a community, a vibrant community. And so the idea of this program is building that community. And for us to build that community, we thought about some of the things that people will need to be able to develop a strong attachment to this community. And all of those things are listed out. But first, we've hired a program manager that is beginning, I think, next week to with the program. And the various components of the program. The first one is with reference to housing. And as a result of that initiative, funded by primarily by Jerry Sleeter, we have set up a housing fund. And the housing fund is designed for us to provide guarantees to landlords, enabling them to extend their leases so that it's not, landlords have been a little bit reluctant to sign up for the short-term leases, and we are able to extend those leases to 6 months and 1 year because we have this funding that serves as a guarantee. And we hope that this housing fund could be the beginning of something bigger that we can do eventually. But it's a starting point, and we hope to grow this fund over a period of time that enables us to always be able to have a stock of housing that is guaranteed for these families that are going to continuously come to St. Louis. Our hope is that even beyond this APA arrivals, is that other Afghans who've gone to different parts of the United States, or even Kansas City, even having people asking whether they can move to St. Louis. Just as there are some people who may want to move out of St. Louis, but our hope is that more and more Afghans across the country are going to see what we're doing here, which is unique, and will tend to move here. So housing is the first starting point, because if you have housing, then it allows you to be able to move down a path of prosperity. Secondly is we're establishing an Afghan community center. We're going to do this by several engagement meetings that we're going to have with the Afghan community and support them in developing a community center. And we're going to be able to rent the premises of the community center for at least a 2-year period, have a volunteer executive director that's going to be leading this community center, but create this space where they can lean on each other, they can provide support to one another as they begin this exciting new journey in this community called St. Louis. We also have this Afghan community newsletter or newspaper, and the idea behind it is twofold. One, to connect the Afghans who are here to what's going on in the city, to resources that are available for them in the city, keep them up to date with developments, but also to connect the rest of the Afghan community that is resettled in the United States to see St. Louis as an opportunity, and maybe even beyond St. Louis, because there are currently thousands of Afghans who are on military bases in different parts of the world that are going to continuously be brought to the United States. And how can they, even where they are, begin to see what we're doing in St. Louis as an opportunity, and therefore make St. Louis an attractive location for more and more of them to come. Then we have the Afghan Chamber of Commerce, which is a natural next step after you're building this community. Is, the Afghans traditionally entrepreneurial in nature, and we thought the existing Afghan businesses, we found an Afghan business that has been here for 40 years already and has been making, and that's where we get Afghan bread that is delivered to the hotel. But the Afghan businesses, we've worked with Samin restaurant that has been providing food to the various hotels for the last few months. Those businesses, we hope to bring them together, and together we can work with them to provide a lot more support and resources that would help as well in the next generation of businesses that will emerge from this Afghan arrival. But just as we have various ethnic chambers of commerce, we're hoping that this one is going to flourish. And again, the word is going to spread about the opportunity that they have here. We hope to collaborate with other chambers of commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce or other chambers of commerce to help support this nascent baby chamber of commerce that we're going to have here. Then obviously we have the Afghan Community Entrepreneurship Program that is really, we're hoping to kick that off soon here. We're hoping that by May we should be having the first awards go out for 5 of the 10 spots that we have. We're giving up to $15,000 to at least 10 Afghan businesses in the community, so that they have the support here to grow, and more than just giving them the money, the Afghan Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with other chambers of commerce is going to be there to provide them the support and the resources for them to grow. Then there's the Afghan Community Welfare and Educational Programs, which is vast in itself, but there's some few things that we're already working on. I mentioned earlier that on Saturday we're beginning the soccer program where children will every Saturday between 4 and 6 p.m. be able to go out and play soccer. And I know that Kelly is going to announce some of the details of that we're working out. We're going to see, this will be the first week, and this is going to go on until the summer. And then we have 10 spots that are available with the Claim Academy for coding. And we're not only providing that as an opportunity we're also going to have translation available for them, so that those who are doing the coding and need translation will have it available, and all of that is funded. Kelly and her team are working on other brilliant ideas about how we can provide, community welfare support to the Afghans here, and that's work in progress. But these are the components of this Afghan community support program, really designed to empower them to flourish in this community. Most of all of this is funded, but beyond what is funded is the whole mechanism to make it successful. And there's never an infinite, we're always going to be in need of resources. And I thought to share this so that our partners here, you can all look at this and figure out ways in which you can bring more support to the program, whether it is figuring out how we can, create more job opportunities under the welfare program. How can we train people in specific skills? There's even more access to coding. All of those things are ways in which we can really help our arrivals be successful, but also attract a lot more people come here. So we're open to having conversations about how you can help to grow and build this program and sustain the support that we're providing to the Afghan community that is resettling here in St. Louis. So I'm going to stop here and be happy to take questions. And I see that there have been some questions in about that. Let me know if you have any questions for me at this time. Questions. I noticed there were one or two. Rosie, I think we have a few questions for you for starters.
Yeah, I've responded to a few in the chat.
Okay.
So a few federally qualified health centers. One that we've worked with quite a bit in particular is Affinia, especially the South Broadway location. And they've also had quite a bit of experience with WIC enrollments as well. But happy really to take referrals offline as well. If there are specific challenges, they might be eligible for our programming, and there might be some more assistance that we can provide to these specific individuals.
Great. And there is a question about where can we take infants for baby care if they don't have Medicaid yet? I don't know if you.
Yeah, so that would be, Affinia. There are a number of other locations as well. We've worked with Affinia really closely, federally qualified health centers. And I believe Dr. Prater is on the call, so please feel free to pipe in as well. But do offer assistance on sliding scales and look at income. So there are quite a bit of options for individuals. Not enough, of course, always with the systems that we work in, but there are options. Dr. Prater, if you want to go ahead and put your email in the chat, that would be great.
Sure, and thank you. And I'll just mention that there are a number of other federally qualified health centers that would accept a well child, particularly infants that are in need of care. I will put my email in the chat. And the South Broadway location, as you mentioned, is very familiar with getting in patients. And there's a WIC office attached to the South Broadway location and the Biddle Street location. So hopefully those two locations could be of service. And the other thing is that feel free to email me. I'm a PCP at the South Broadway location, and I can sometimes help with getting around some of the scheduling issues that might happen at a central call center.
Thanks, Dr. Prater. I'm sure you'll be getting those emails. I also see that there's another follow-up question from Marlene with who can provide proof of income and residence to access the sliding scale care? And Rosie, I'm throwing all of this your way because I'm not remotely qualified to answer this.
So we at times can provide that Riley's and parolees. But again, I wonder if there's specific cases maybe we can chat about offline.
Okay, great. Are there any more questions with reference to the general information that we have provided here?
Madeline asked another question about how can we connect families that receive for additional housing assistance after their 90 days. Just to be clear, the support provided by the agency does not only last 90 days, it goes well beyond that. Rosie detailed more programs for folks that have health challenges. We also have plenty of other programming. So ideally, any requests for funding for housing would be coming through the caseworker that they have. And yes, the caseworker shifts at 90 days, but that doesn't mean the program ends. I want to make sure that we're reiterating that folks need to stay connected in order to be able to access these funds and supports that are available.
Thank you very much, Blake. Any other questions that I'm missing? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to turn this over to Kelly for the shout outs.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm coming from the command center today. Can you hear me? Okay, nobody's saying yes or no. Okay, yes, great. So we are upgrading our command center with this awesome camera / speaker, and I am excited to be here with a few of our coworkers, and anybody is invited on this command center. So we have had wonderful opportunities of support. a couple highlights that I wanted to share with you today. March 8th, we're having a Women's Day event. This is going to be amazing. The team is working on promoting the International Women's Day theme of breaking the bias, break the bias. And we will be celebrating women of all cultures and communities and nations on this day. It is an international day. And so I encourage you to go to the Break the Bias International Women's Day website. There's really great information on that site. But we are hosting a reception from 5 to 7 in Hall of Nations. We had a beautiful gentleman by the name of Bill Perry who painted 26 portraits of foreign-born women throughout the St. Louis region. He is offering those paintings to the women this night. So if you haven't seen those paintings yet, you only have less than a month to come see those paintings. They're beautiful pieces of artwork. And then the next thing, community shout outs. I love this part of the call. Little Angels Foundation continues to provide lunch for hotel recipients. House of Goods provided dinner, and they continue to do dinners and things. Christian Friends of New Americans, I think this is their second or third coat and shoe distribution. So this is amazing work. They go to the hotels and help with that. Array mentioned this in the call earlier, but this Saturday we are starting our collaboration with STL Football, and we are having we're going to have the children from the hotels enjoy some time in their 2 fields that they have. The in-kind distribution event, this is going to be in collaboration with START, and we are going to be handing out the donations that have come. You know, we talked about donations a lot, and I've said this on other calls, but since August, our gym has been full of donations. Not only our gym, but our warehouse and those 4 pods sitting outside of our gym. So we are doing everything we can to get those donations in the hands of our neighbors. So that's going to happen on Saturday. The community partners are also helping us work on that. And if you need details, please send me an email. Girl Scout Troop 35150 from Parkway West. They donated some really great in-kind items, but they also donated Aldi gift cards, and that was sweet. And then lastly, the Kransberg Family Charitable Foundation. They have recently collaborated with us and have donated some funds in order to support the Projection St. Louis art project. And we are currently collaborating with an architect from WashU who is collaborating with an artist who is going to be hopefully projecting art upon one of our landmarks in St. Louis. So more details, that project is scaled to happen, I believe the date is fall of 2022 or 2023. So thank you, community support. Thank you, members. Thank you, community members. Thank you, Girl Scouts. Thank you to anybody who has done anything. If you are still looking for ways to support, oh no, these are still wonderful things happening. Sorry. Twice a week, we have the command center who is distributing bread to the hotels. And so if you want to volunteer to take bread to hotels, we could set you up. We are also giving weekly grocery cards to our hotel. I'm blanking on the word, but the new Americans who are staying in the hotels currently receive Schnucks and Aldi gift cards from the community. So all of those gift cards that we've been talking about, those are in the hands of our neighbors. We are giving out quarters for laundry at the hotels. So one thing to note, we currently hand out about $6,000 worth of grocery cards a week. So that is, we are so appreciative of everybody who's donated those cards. We typically ask for Schnucks because if you've been on the call before, you know that the hotels are very close to the Schnucks. So while we know Aldi is also very useful, it's just farther away. Quarters for laundry. I don't think we've received any major donations of quarters. I put it in the call, and thank you to you all, because last week a school reached out to me and said they were going to do a collection drive for quarters. We are, the quarters are needed for laundry. So thank you for those people who have started thinking about that. And then computer laptops. This is really exciting with our collaborations with Welcome Neighbor, with START, with individuals. We have anyone who's ever donated a computer to us, we are starting to hand those out, laptops. And so the need there would be, that was what we did on MLK Day when we put out the need for computers and laptops. So right now we do have a lot of computers, but we don't have a lot of headphones or any sort of earpiece device that you might use on a laptop. And the only reason we're looking for those now is that many of you who live in a household of 5 or 6 people like I do, sometimes you don't, sometimes you can't concentrate. So headphones help us concentrate. So if you have any extra pair of headphones or earbuds or ear things, then please take them to the command center. Thank you very much. Of course, here are the opportunities. So if you want to volunteer, you can visit our website. If you would like to be a part of our community support program, please contact WAFA. And of course, if you would like to donate, please go to our website as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We really can't do it without you, and we appreciate all of you on this call and all of you as advocates into the community member or into the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kelly. Just before we sign up here, I want to ask if there are any questions. I'm looking at the chat here to find out. And Peter will be happy to reach out to you to discuss support for meals with you in the downtown area. But any question that I haven't covered?
See, sorry, there's a question. The question's about volunteers. So February. So the STL football, Peter, just if you can email me, I'll let you know. We probably do need volunteers. And then Elizabeth, for February 19th, at this point, we made some asks. So, but if you would also like to email me, I can tell you what numbers we need and how we're going to distribute the items.
Yeah, especially for February 19th, we are looking for volunteers that would support families. There is a process to go through in terms of having the background check done, because that will be working in direct engagement with the clients. We have about 90 families that we're hoping will show up to pick up provisions that need support in terms of just picking up them and bringing them over to the International Institute and driving back with the staff. I know we're working with Welcome Neighbor, Oasis to leverage the support of that volunteer network, and CFNA as well. So we're open to having volunteers. The only thing is going through that background check process, and we're accepting the background check done by all of these partner organizations. So if there is a network that has already gone through that, please connect with Kelly on that. Another bit in terms of increase in need for volunteers is next week. We're going to be moving several large families, and if people can sign up next week, we'll be happy to have that kind of support, because we need more volunteers for housing setup, and that will enable us to move these large families, which would make the work lighter for all of us. But those are the big pieces that we need help with at this time. And we would also be looking out for anyone who has ideas and ways in which we can continue to build on this Afghan community program that we introduced to you here today. But next week we'll have our program manager as part of the team, and we'll be leading the efforts of implementing that. But I hope that this would not be only transformative for St. Louis, but this could be something that could even influence the way communities around America support new arrivals into the community. And hopefully this doesn't end only with the Afghan community, but how can we do this for all the immigrant families that are going to be coming into St. Louis? We're starting with this, we're going to learn from this, and hopefully we're going to grow as a community around this. So thank you very much for your time and for sticking with us for 20 weeks. Like I said, we may be winding down as we go into the month of March, but until then, we'll see you next week. Thank you again for everything you do to make St. Louis welcoming. Have a wonderful day.